Hello and welcome, I'm Fahd Husain. It's been 1 year since the Pakistan Air Force took to the skies in a decisive operation that established our air superiority. Yesterday, the DG ISPR and other senior officers confirmed that our pilots had shot down 8 Indian jets in what was clearly a display of tactical brilliance. Tonight, I want to do a deep dive into how this actually happened. We have heard a lot of details over the last 1 year, and we also heard some fresh information yesterday. But today, I want to use proper maps to show you how we achieved that victory. And to help us understand this, I am joined today by Air Marshal retired Aamir Masood, who retired as Deputy Chief of the Air Staff, Air Defence, after serving more than 4 decades in the Pakistan Air Force. An accomplished fighter pilot, he flew multiple frontline aircraft, including the F-16 Fighting Falcon, and accumulated over 3,500 fighter flying hours during his career. He's also a graduate of the Combat Commander School. Over the years, he held several key operational appointments, including Squadron Commander of an F-16 Fighting Falcon Squadron, Officer Commanding F-16 Flying Wing, Base Commander PAF Base Musaf, and Air Officer Commanding Central Air Command. So now let's discuss and give you detailed information about how we won this battle against India. And to understand this, with the help of actual maps, I am joined here in the studio by Air Marshal retired Aamir Masood, one of the most celebrated officers of the Pakistan Air Force. Welcome to our show, Air Marshal Saab. Why don't you come here and let's now take a look at how this battle actually ensued. Now, let's have the first map here. This is the map of how the battle happened, Air Marshal Aamir Masood, and this is from open source. I have to say, there are no classified documents here. Everything that we've been able to get from open source, and if there is any discrepancy or mistake, I'm sure you'll correct us. But for our viewers, we've all heard about how we shot down 8 Indian aircraft. It was initially 7, now it's 8 since the press conference by the DG ISPR and the senior officers of the Air Force and Navy. Now this is that night. These are the airplanes from India, Indian jets, Pakistani jets. Now explain to us how this happened. What happened first?
So thank you very much. First of all, I would like to orientate you that, what does this map actually shows, just for the ordinary viewers. This green is of course Pakistan map, this orange is Indian area, and the blue which is shown is
occupied Kashmir.
Kashmir area. And it has both, the LOC is on top, and then it comes to the working boundary, and then this is the international
correct
border which is there. So the point which this signifies is that it was this time, in Pulwama, once they carried out Operation Bandar, they actually restricted themselves to the LOC, which still you can, justify that you were trying to have, which is towards the Srinagar side and above that, And then subsequently, this time they have come all the way till international border, which is actually a declaration of war, that you are actually violating the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of an independent country, and you're trying, and that to a nuclear country.
So just to clarify, on the night that they attacked, all this area, these blue figures are the Indian aircraft, and they were approaching our borders literally from the south all the way up till the north, and they were all coming in throughout, and obviously they were trying to have some deceptive action to confuse us, but we were reading them.
So that is what always happened. Actually in Pulwama also, once they came, they sent a big package from the south so as to deceive us, so as to take away our cap aircraft towards that side. And the main package came from the north, where they started to. So what does this signifies is that this time they also used the same tool, and they were having packages, big packages to the south and to the north, for us to disperse our fighters and the combat patrol aircraft towards the north and south.
So we were also covering the entire length and breadth of our border, according to as we can see.
So these are the Indian jets which I see towards the Indian side. These blue are the Indian packages which are coming for some sort of aggression and throwing bombs on our territory. These are our aircraft in defensive role, which are doing combat air patrol for the reason that we knew their intentions and the intelligence was there that they are going to have something is going to happen.
Fair enough.
Because they are the ones who have been doing this twice. They have done in 2016, 2019, and this time we were expecting this thing to happen in the coming days. So that is the reason that you can see a large number of combat air patrol aircraft from Pakistan side, which always happen if you have been, I mean, once the nuclear was there in 98, once there was Kargil, and subsequently the Mumbai attack and the parliament, and we used to have this cap patrolling, you know.
Now, of course, because we were talking about the jets, I quickly want to show the jets that we have and the ones that Indians have. So, of course, these are the categories, and our primary usage is F-16s and J-10s. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's the main thing.
And JF-17s.
And JF-17s, right over here.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that night they were using, we knew they were coming through Rafales and also Mirage 2000 and also the Su-30s. They are the main ones.
So their mainstay is, of course, Rafale, Mirage 2000, Su-30. They have modified MiG-21s, but they are getting phased out. MiG-29 is having a lot of issues with their space supportability and avionics. Tejas is not operational as yet.
They've crashed so many times.
Jaguars they are not using for combat because of its,
and this was the first time they were using Rafales.
So with Rafale, they thought that they have the solution for everything, and they were expecting that the Rafale will be able to, create a panic in Pakistan Air Force with whatever Meteor missile it has and the Spectra EW suite it has. So talking in combination, both, Rafale is definitely one of the most modern, with one of the most modern avionics in it. That is there, that is their mainstay, and that was where they thought that they will be able to hurt Pakistan.
Okay, so now they're all approaching that night. We can see them, we are reading them, right? We've been reading them throughout. They didn't know that we had exact details of the number of jets, which jets coming, and we were ready. Then what happens after that?
So, first of all, we need to understand that this side, if you see the Indian, they are coming for some sort of, bombing or throwing missiles into the Pakistan territory. Then they have shooters, or the ones which are known as the bombers, and they are also escorted by the aircraft. So if there is say about 8 aircraft package, the 4 are the one which are carrying the bombs or the missiles. Like if they were carrying Hammer or they were carrying the missiles on Rafales, then there will be escorts in the shape of either Rafale having Meteor missiles, air-to-air beyond visual range, or Su-30s having Adder A-12 missiles, again the beyond visual range. So that is essentially required once you are going for any sort of attack, that your bomber aircraft which are carrying the weapons have to be escorted by the air-to-air fighters. So they are known as escorts, and that is what you can see on the Indian side, that they are coming out with the package. Now secondly, it is important to know that when they are taking off, and they are taking on with this much of volume of aircraft and numbers of aircraft, then it is not, that we are not knowing that these aircrafts are coming and they have some intentions. So if we have seen 72 aircraft, combat aircraft taking off along with their support aircraft, which are the electronic warfare aircraft, air-to-air refuelers, AWACS, so we knew that they are coming for some sort of action.
And then where does the first contact happen? Was it in the north, or where was the actual attack?
So the first contact is that we have to see that what the intentions are. Now this is a war in which you are not crossing the borders of each other, and you have the weapons actually that you can throw from distances as far as keeping yourself 50 to 60 to 100 kilometers inside your border, and still target the enemy infrastructure or the aircraft across.
So they fired, they hit, and then they didn't know that we were ready for them.
So this is very important time, that once they are hitting, they are actually within their border. The rules of the engagement are different. They have a specific distance where he comes close to the border. But with this sort of weapons which they have on Rafale and Su-30, they can hit still staying within 40 to 50 kilometers or even 70 kilometers inside there. So they are hitting now. So first time you come to know that they have done this is once you see any of your target getting hit through some information, you know.
We are seeing, if we can go to the map where we can see the northern area. So we can see, now this is occupied Kashmir. This is the Pathankot base, and this is where we are now. So according to this open source information, these flashes that you see are where the Rafales were shot down. And that's one here, two here, and there is one more which was on the south, and the fourth one we don't know exactly. So which means that initially,
no, the fourth one was also shot somewhere close to Batenda, most probably.
Close to Batenda. So basically, then these were the main. Why did we choose to hit them here?
So I mean, the commander's intent was very clear that we have to target Rafale because Rafale was like their center of gravity.
Okay. So it's a clear decision.
So the intent was clear. That clarity actually helps the tactical commanders who were flying and who were targeting, who were flying J-10s basically, and they targeted the Rafales. They exactly knew where their position is.
Right.
They exactly knew how to target them, what tactics and techniques they are going to observe to remain silent and to be able to, you know, shoot them down. So this is very important, you know, to know the intelligence that where those targets are, where you have to go. And the intent also because of the intelligence info, because of the satellite imagery, because of so much of you know data which was coming.
So we picked up the Rafales and we said we're going to go for them. So for example, the one that is hit here, it's near Jammu, and then there's one which is hit here, both in occupied Kashmir. For them, obviously because we had long range missiles, so our fighters were probably not close to the LOC. We could have fired from far back and hit them here.
So this one seems to be like closer, about less than 20 kilometers. This one seems from the LOC to be somewhere around 70 plus kilometers, you know, or maybe 50 plus at least. So the farthest we were able to hit was above 150 kilometers actually. So that is a manifestation of the fact that it was
if we can go to the other map, which is the southern side. Now here we see another Rafale being hit.
Yeah.
Very close to our border. Were they crazy coming so close to Pakistan? Did they think that they would get away? I mean, look at where it's a hit and crashed, almost next to the border. So how do you explain that?
So I think they were relying too much on their own, you know, S-400, that maybe Pakistani fighters would not come anywhere close to that, or they don't have the, you know, ability to come into the bubble of that S-400 or the defenses which they had on the ground. But this coming so close, I mean, it's difficult to justify. If this is the exact place of the impact, which has been, you know, verified by the most of the international magazines also, and I've seen this image in few other also places, you know, that is where it shows that, you know, they were really not, and maybe this is one of those jets who was also trying to throw the, you know, the weapons inside Pakistan. So Rafale, just to clarify, can be both in the bomber role as well in the escort role as well. So they have the capability, they are the multi-role fighters like Su-30s, like F-16s, JF-17s, J-10, Mirage 2000, they are multi-role. They can throw the bombs, they can shoot air-to-air, they can be used in both the roles, they can switch roles. So this is known as the multi-role.
So now, you know, we hit them, and of course the Mirages also, and clearly the number of aircraft, jets that they had sent was far more than ours. So they came in really heavy numbers. And then of course, going back, we knocked out 8 of them. There was a full strategy plan, as you said. And so let's go to the chart where we explain how we were able to knock them down. Now this is PAF multi-domain, what they call
just
kill
one
matrix.
Point if I would like to highlight, you know, in the previous slide.
Let's go back to the slide for a second.
I mean, that, you know, this is very, it's not an easy proposition that you are actually doing your combat air patrolling and then you switch your roles and come into an offensive frame of mind where you know that this aircraft is the one which is an aggressor from the opposite side and I have to shoot him. So they were coming in numbers actually. And they had their S-400s also there. they had a lot of escort aircraft here. They had the Meteor missiles, being carried by the Rafales. So they had ranges, exceptionally good, and they had the electronic warfare suite within its spectra. So with all this package, once our aircraft are targeting them, they have to be cognizant of this thing, that the enemy has all this capability.
Yes.
And while they are shooting, they should be 100% sure that they are going to be hitting first before they hit them.
Right.
This in aerial combat is a very important preposition, that the ranges are so far apart that it's not a dogfight in which you start to have, a sort of dogfight and close combat with each other. The ranges are so far apart that you have to be really smart to have your tactics where you are able to hide yourself, where you are able to shoot them first.
Which is where we were far superior to them.
Where we were able to do that definitely
now let's
more
go back,
efficiently than them.
Let's go back to understand how we actually did this. So this is called the multi-domain kill matrix. Now, Marshal Aamir Masood, explain it to us, how this happened. Now, we start from the AWACS. The AWACS are, for our viewers, what are the AWACS? What do they do?
So this is one, supposition that we can go for this sort of, this is also from an open source thing which is there. And this is one of the tactics which most of the Western Air Force have also employed, and Israel are also having a mastery sort of thing in how to employ the BVR versus BVR, game. So the most important thing in BVR versus BVR is that you need to shoot him first before the enemy shoots.
Right.
That is known as the first shot capability.
Okay.
And the first shot capability is because of the capability of your radar, because of the capability of the missile, because of the way you approach the aircraft, and the way the enemy is coming towards you, different heights, different terrains, etc. They all contribute in ensuring that which is going to be shooting first. So this is very important. It's basically, you can say, a game of chess where you have to see the moves, but you have to do it quickly, and you have to do it faster than the enemy.
And this AWACS play a key role.
AWACS is the one which is actually the command and control center in the air. It is the one which is actually carrying the common picture, and it is the one which is guiding your fighters. Not only guiding your fighters, but also telling him exact position of the enemy also. So this is the role of the AWACS.
Okay.
So that is what AWACS is basically.
So in this multi-domain kill matrix, the AWACS then tells our fighters where the enemy fighters are. And then what happens after that? How does this work?
So if you see this pictorial display, there are two fighters, and they are the ones who are carrying the PL-15 missile.
Okay.
If they are, for example, J-10s, Fighter 1 and Fighter 2, they are the ones who are going to be in this sort of formation. They can be in,
and they're going
they
together.
can be in breast formation, they can be in any other. So these are the two pair of aircraft which are going to be.
So one is called hot fighter, one is called cold fighter. So what's the difference between these?
So the hot and cold is that one can be a sort of decoy, and the other one can be used for launching the missile. Actually, the one who is going to be the one who will try to deceive in range and subsequently able to shoot the enemy aircraft before he shoots.
So in our case, let's assume for a second they were F-16s. Let's assume. So the cold fighter means that the Indian aircraft can't read its signal.
So no, the cold fighter is the decoy. Whenever you are having a decoy with you, you will try to show that first.
Okay.
And you will try to hide the other one.
Right.
So you are trying to hide it through not giving any sort of electronic signatures, not even physically being picked up by the radar through terrain masking, etc. And different other ways that you are not showing yourself physically as well as electronically.
So in our case, we had this combination.
We had the practice of that, and we could have made the same way of having the fighters being one a decoy and the other one the actual one who was carrying the.
So the decoy was the one that was being read through its electronic signature. The hot one was carrying the weapon.
Electronic signature or physically also. It can be at the higher heights, it can be visible more, and at a ranges, that enemy thinks that this is the one which is coming in actually. While the other fighter, which is the hot one, may deceive the enemy in the ranges and also deceive him by staying through the terrain masking, through covering its all electronic signatures. So that is where, you know, the cold fighter will be more visible, the hot fighter has to be hidden, and this one has to go closer into its actual parameters, envelope of shooting the missile, and whereby actually, you know, it's keeping its all electronics off. AVEX is the one which is through the data link conveying every image or every situational awareness about the enemy to this hot fighter.
Okay.
And it is AVEX which directs when to launch this missile.
Right.
And once it has been done, once it is in the optimum ranges, you know, you launch this missile, still you are hidden because the enemy doesn't know.
So
that
the Rafales that were hit, they were AVAX sent the signal to our hot fighter, essentially showing its location. The hot fighter fired the PL-15 missile, and when the missile was fired, the Rafale didn't know that the missile had been fired.
Yes. So if, you know, in the modern jets, it's very much, you know, known fact that you are able to read the radar once it is on. Whenever it is giving active transmissions, you can come to know that the enemy radar or enemy this type of aircraft is here through your threat warning system. And that system is very much powerful in Rafale. It has got a very powerful way of jamming your radars also, of deceiving your missiles also through its electronic warfare suite, which is known as Spectra, one of the finest in the world. So that was not, you know, excited. That was actually not given any sort of signal because of the silence, electronic silence, and the physical camouflage of this aircraft once it was launching.
So when did the Rafale pilot know that he was about to be hit?
Once it was very close. It was like less than 15 kilometers. When
this missile was
this missile has got an EISR radar, its own active radar, and it goes active at a particular range where it takes over, and there's no need of mid-course guidance for this.
So by the time there was, let's go back to the original map now that we understand how we hit them. The first map which shows of course this is the India-Pakistan map, but I want to go back to the original one. So this is how these guys have to hit here, and of course also the MiG-29, Mirage 2000, Su-30, all of them were hit like that. And of course Rafale is the superior one. If the Rafales couldn't read our missiles coming in, of course.
Well, I guess so that this particular tactics was tailor-made for the Rafale.
Right.
Because Rafale has a very superior as far as electronic warfare suite is concerned, and its Meteor missile is concerned. Because that was the main threat. That was actually the center of gravity. That had the capability which can mash or maybe outclass that of J-10 as far as the shooting is concerned. So just to deceive that, this was specifically tailor-made for Rafale. And
it worked beautifully that way. And of course, before we finish, of course, this is the final tally, 8-0. We had 42 combat aircraft, they had 72. Of course, they lost 7 aircraft plus 1 UAV. They had 11 air bases involved. So, I mean, this shows the sheer numbers that they threw at us.
And 11 bases hit also subsequently.
Subsequently hit also.
Yes.
You know, all of these bases that we see, they will ultimately hit a few days
along
later,
with S-400 going down.
Including
that
S-400.
was again a very, successful mission.
Absolutely. So I think just to conclude, the fact that they had such a overwhelming show of force, they had their air defenses, they had everything, and they got hammered. I think they were not expecting even half of what happened to them. And this is, I think, the fault of bad leadership amongst the Indian Air Force, bad planning, and of course superior planning and tactics at our end. Marshal,
actually, lastly, I would like to say, yesterday I was hearing the press brief by the Indian leadership also, and their air representative of the Indian Air Force said that I will tell you the facts and what are the fictions, what is the reality and what were the false claims by. So he was talking about reality, and he talked about we have hit different air bases on 9th, and we have been able to throw missiles. Look, I mean, Israel with so much of informidable, I would say, defense in the shape of Iron Dome was able to receive lot of missiles by the Iranians for the fact that no air defense is impregnable. So if you throw 50, 60 or 100 missiles, at least 5, 6 will definitely go through. And that is what happened. But they never talk about the early morning of 7th.
Yeah, they will never talk
And
about
this
that.
is where I want to tell them that this is a fact. The fact is that you got your 8 aircraft shot while being aggressor, while being twice the size in your volume. And this is a fact that your own CDS accepted that our aircraft losses forced us to ground our aircraft for 2 days.
Yeah.
Complete 2 days. I mean, this is something which is an acceptance of a defeat.
Absolutely.
That such a big air force getting grounded for
Absolutely.
2 days, and the Rafale shares going down more than 50%.
Absolutely, and I think this story that we are showing here
And
will be taught for a very long time.
And
this
the
was the
acme-
largest air battle since probably I don't know how many
was.
decades.
And the acme of a skill for a fighter pilot is the air-to-air kill.
That's
Once
the
an
ultimate.
aircraft
Yeah.
explodes in the air, which their 8 aircraft did,
Yeah.
it was a morale booster for us,
Absolutely.
and it was a depression for
Absolutely.
those who ran away from there.
Absolutely.
And Pakistan Air Force had the control of air.
Total
for-
air domination.
For subsequent 4 or 5 days. They had nothing to show in the Air Force. No aircraft, because it is always the aircraft which maintain the control of the air. By throwing missiles, you cannot have that control of air.
Absolutely.
And subsequently, they resorted to missiles and drones only.
Marshal Aamir Masood, thank you so much for joining us, for explaining this very important map and the night that we defeated India. We will take a break here, of course, and when we come back, there is much more to come, so do stay with us.